Hey, everybody, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. You guys sent us this website called Sewing Pattern Secrets, and you want us to take a look at it. So let's jump in.
First of all, the sales page is a lot. I mean, it just keeps going and going. And all these claim your discount banners flashing all over the place. My eyes.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like a sensory overload almost.
Yeah.
And you know what else got me? That video. The one that starts playing automatically with sound as soon as you land on the page.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Talk about a way to grab your attention.
But
Okay, let's get past all the marketing stuff
yeah.
and talk about the actual product.
Yeah, for sure. So what is Sewing Pattern Secrets?
Well, basically, it's a giant collection of sewing patterns all in one place. Over 125 different patterns, plus tons of bonus materials.
Wow, that's a lot of patterns.
It is. And you get access to everything as soon as you sign up.
And they say it's a one-time fee.
That's right. You pay once and you have lifetime access.
That's pretty interesting.
Right.
Especially if you're just getting started with sewing. Exactly. You can imagine years of potential projects. And you don't have to keep buying individual patterns every time you want to make something new.
Okay, that's starting to sound tempting. But what kinds of patterns are we actually talking about here?
Well, they've got a pretty wide range. Clothes for men, women, children, accessories, home decor, costumes, even patterns for dolls and stuffed animals.
Wow. So pretty much anything you could possibly want to sew.
Pretty much, yeah.
I also see they have a whole section on step-by-step instructions.
Yeah, that's one of the big selling points, especially for beginners.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
for someone like me who's a total newbie, that sounds super helpful.
Oh, for sure. You know, when you're starting a new project, maybe it's something you've never sewn before. It can feel kind of intimidating, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But having those step-by-step instructions, it's like having a roadmap for your sewing adventure.
Right. It takes away a lot of the guesswork.
Exactly. And helps you feel more confident about tackling the project.
And what about these detailed schematics they keep mentioning? What are those exactly?
Oh, the schematics. Those are basically like blueprints for your sewing project. They're detailed drawings that show you how all the pattern pieces fit together.
Oh, I see.
So you can see exactly how the garment is constructed.
So it's not just about following the instructions blindly. It's about understanding how the pieces come together.
Exactly. And that can make a big difference in the final result.
That makes sense. So we've got step-by-step instructions. We've got schematics to map it all out. Anything else that makes this extra beginner-friendly?
Oh, yeah. They also provide cutting and material lists for each pattern.
Oh, that's nice. You don't have to figure out how much fabric you need.
Right. No more guessing. No more running back and forth to the fabric store.
Okay, so they really are trying to make it as easy as possible.
It seems like it.
And speaking of making things easy,
They've got another cool feature. They offer multiple views for each pattern.
multiple views. What does that mean?
Well, instead of just seeing one flat image of the pattern, you get to see it from different angles. Front, back, side. It helps you understand the shape of the garment better, how the pieces connect, how it will drape on your body.
Gotcha. So it's like a 360-degree view.
Exactly.
I could see how that would be super helpful for a beginner like me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sometimes those flat patterns can be hard to visualize.
Absolutely.
Okay, so they've got all these features to make sewing easier. What about support? Like if you run into a problem or have a question.
Well, they do offer email support,
Okay.
so you can reach out to them if you need help with anything.
So let's recap for a sec. What have we got so far with Sewing Pattern Secrets?
Well, we've got over 125 sewing patterns, step-by-step instructions, detailed schematics, cutting and material lists, multiple views for each pattern, and email support.
Wow, that is a lot.
It is a pretty comprehensive package.
Especially for the price they're asking.
Right.
What is it, $67?
$67 for lifetime access.
That seems almost too good to be true.
It's definitely a very attractive price point.
Especially when you consider all the bonus materials they're throwing in.
Oh, yeah. Almost forgot about the bonuses.
The bonuses, tell me more.
Well, they've got 4 bonus collections. Classic women's dresses, a travel-themed collection, a unisex children's collection, and a men's exercise wear collection.
Wow. So no matter what kind of sewing you're into, there's probably something in there for you.
Pretty much.
Okay, but now I'm really curious about this lifetime free monthly patterns thing they keep talking about.
Yeah, that sounds pretty amazing, right?
Free patterns every month for life. Sign me up.
I know it's tempting, but I think we need to take a closer look at what that actually means.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, they mentioned that they release new patterns from their workshops every month.
Uh-huh.
So they're definitely committed to adding fresh content.
Right. But will it always be free?
That's the question. They emphasize that there are no recurring fees right now.
Right.
But that could change in the future.
So they could start charging a subscription fee later on.
It's possible. It's not uncommon for digital products to start with a free offer and then switch to a paid model later on.
Hmm. That is something to keep in mind.
Definitely. It's always good to be aware of those kinds of things.
So even if they do start charging later, the initial value proposition is still pretty good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You get access to a massive library of patterns, plus all those bonuses for a one-time fee.
And there's no risk involved because they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Right. If you're not happy with it, you can always get a refund.
Okay, so it's a no-brainer to at least give it a try.
I think so.
So what do you say we move on to the testimonials and customer examples?
Sure. Let's take a look.
From what I'm seeing here, people are actually using these patterns and making some pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, they've got a wide range of projects showcased on the website, from simple beginner-friendly pieces to more elaborate designs.
That's great to see. It adds credibility and shows that people are actually having success with these patterns.
Absolutely. It goes beyond just the marketing claims and gives you a tangible sense of what's possible with this product.
And it looks like a lot of people are finding these patterns to be user-friendly and easy to follow.
Yeah, that's definitely a common theme in the testimonials.
Okay, so we talked about the features, the bonuses,
Yeah.
the customer feedback. But I think it's time to address the elephant in the room,
What's that?
the super enthusiastic sales pitch.
Yes. All those flashing banners, the bold claims, the limited time offers.
Exactly. It's a lot to take in.
It can be a little overwhelming, especially if you're not used to this kind of marketing.
For sure. I mean, I'm already feeling the pressure to click that buy now button.
I know, right?
It's tempting.
It is. But I think we need to take a step back
Mm.
and try to look at it objectively.
Right. So how do we separate the hype from the reality? How do we know if Sewing Pattern Secrets is actually a good investment?
That's the big question. And honestly, it really comes down to your individual needs, preferences, and sewing goals.
Okay, let's break that down. What are some of the key things we should consider?
Well, first of all, think about your sewing habits. How often do you sew? What kinds of projects do you typically enjoy?
Okay.
If you're a frequent sewer who loves variety and tackles a wide range of projects, then having access to such a vast library of patterns could be a game changer.
But if you only sew occasionally, or if you prefer to stick to certain types of projects, it might not be worth it.
Exactly. It wouldn't make sense to invest in a huge collection of patterns if you're only going to use a handful of them.
Right. And what about the format? Everything is delivered digitally, which is great for instant access. But what if you're someone who prefers to work with printed patterns?
That's a good point. They do mention that the patterns are compatible with various devices, so you can view them on your phone, your tablet, your computer.
Okay.
But if you really prefer the feel of paper, you might not be happy with a digital format.
Right. You could always print them out yourself. But that's an extra step and an extra cost.
Exactly.
So it's definitely something to think about. How do you prefer to work with patterns?
And another important factor to consider is your budget.
Uh-huh.
Even though $67 is a very attractive price, it's still an investment.
True.
So you want to make sure it aligns with your financial situation and your sewing goals.
Right. And we can't forget about the future of those free monthly patterns. It sounds great now, but there's no guarantee that it will stay that way.
Exactly. They could decide to start charging for them at some point.
So it's something to be aware of.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. What are some of the key takeaways?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that Sewing Pattern Secrets offers a potentially vast library of patterns at a really good price. They cater to a range of skill levels, they've got lots of different project types, and they emphasize clear instructions and support.
Which is great for beginners.
Exactly.
But they also use some pretty aggressive marketing tactics. And the future of those free monthly patterns is a bit unclear.
True.
So I think it's important to weigh the pros and cons carefully before making a decision.
I agree. Ultimately, it comes down to what's right for you.
Right. Your individual needs, your preferences, your sewing goals.
Exactly. You want to find sewing resources that align with your sewing dreams.
Love that. Sewing dreams.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Oh, yeah. It's all about finding what works for you.
Okay, so we've talked about the patterns themselves and all the features they offer, but what about the actual company behind Sewing Pattern Secrets? Do we know anything about them?
Well, from what I can gather, they're a team of experienced sewers and designers who are passionate about making sewing more accessible to everyone.
That's cool.
Yeah, they seem to really believe in their product, and they're committed to providing good customer service.
That's always a good sign.
Right.
Especially when you're dealing with a digital product like this.
Exactly. You want to know that there's someone you can reach out to if you need help.
For sure. Okay, so we've got all this info, but I'm still a little wary of that sales pitch.
I know what you mean. It's definitely a bit over the top.
It's like they're trying to create a sense of urgency, like you have to buy it right now or you'll miss out.
Yeah, that's a common marketing tactic. They want you to make a decision based on emotion rather than logic.
Right. But we're smarter than that, right?
Of course we are.
So how do we cut through the noise and figure out if sewing pattern secrets is actually worth the investment?
Well, I think the first step is to take a deep breath and ignore all the hype.
Good advice.
Then we can focus on the facts. Look at the features, the benefits, the price, and decide if it's a good fit for us.
Right. Like we were talking about before, it really comes down to your individual sewing habits and goals.
Exactly.
If you're someone who sews all the time and you're always looking for new patterns, then this could be an amazing resource.
For sure.
But if you only sew occasionally, or if you're happy with the patterns you already have, then it might not be necessary.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works for you.
And it's also important to remember that there are other options out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. There are tons of different places to find sewing patterns.
You can buy individual patterns online. You can find free patterns on blogs and websites. You can even borrow patterns from friends and family.
Right.
So there's no need to feel pressured into buying anything just because of a flashy sales pitch.
Absolutely. Take your time, do your research, and find the resources that are right for you.
Okay, so let's say you've decided that sewing pattern secrets might be a good fit. What's the next step?
Well, I would recommend checking out their website in more detail.
Oh.
Read through the descriptions of the patterns, look at the customer reviews,
Yeah.
and see if the styles and projects appeal to you.
Good idea.
And don't forget to read the fine print.
Oh, yeah. That's important.
Make sure you understand the terms of the purchase,
Yeah.
including the refund policy.
Right. We don't want any surprises later on.
Exactly.
And if you're still on the fence after all that,
Yeah.
you could always take advantage of that 30-day money-back guarantee.
Right. It's a risk-free way to try it out and see if you like it.
Okay, so we've talked about the features, the benefits,
Right.
the potential drawbacks, the sales tactics. I think we've covered pretty much everything.
I think so.
So what's the final verdict? Is sewing pattern secrets worth it?
You know, I think it has the potential to be a really valuable resource for a lot of sewers, especially beginners. The huge library patterns, the step-by-step instructions, the support they offer, it's all really appealing.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's not for everyone. You really have to consider your own sewing habits and goals and be aware of the potential downsides, like the aggressive marketing and the possibility of future subscription fees.
Right, so it's not a simple yes or no answer.
Definitely not.
But hopefully we've given you enough information to make an informed decision.
I hope so.
And if you do decide to try out sewing pattern secrets, we'd love to hear about your experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Share your thoughts on our social media and let us know what you think.
Let us know if you found it helpful, if you found it overwhelming, if you ended up actually buying it and using the patterns.
Yeah, we want to hear all about it, good or bad.
Exactly.
All right, so to wrap things up, I think we can both agree that sewing pattern secrets is a pretty interesting product.
It is. It's definitely got a lot going for it.
Yeah, that huge library of patterns, the detailed instructions, the support they offer. It could be a really valuable resource for someone who's serious about sewing.
Especially if you're a beginner.
Right. It's like having a whole sewing school at your fingertips.
Exactly.
But at the same time, we can't ignore the potential downsides.
Right. The marketing is a little intense, and there's always that possibility of future subscription fees.
So it's not a decision to be made lightly.
Definitely not.
You really have to weigh the pros and cons and decide if it's the right fit for you.
Exactly.
But hey, at least they offer that 30-day money-back guarantee,
That's true.
so you can always try it out risk-free
Yeah.
and see if it lives up to the hype.
And if you do decide to give it a try, we'd love to hear what you think.
Yes. Let us know. Hit us up on social media and tell us all about your sewing pattern secrets experience.
And you know what? Even if sewing pattern secrets isn't your cup of tea, I hope this deep dive has inspired you to explore the world of sewing a little bit more.
Yeah, me too.
There are so many different ways to get into sewing, so many different resources available, and it's such a rewarding and creative hobby.
It really is. So go out there, find your sewing style, and have fun.
That's the most important part.
Exactly. All right, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.